Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about a photographer's team. So I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. I make videos like this. This one's going to be kind of about business and technique in a sense. I make them about philosophy, about gear. If that kind of stuff interests you guys, go ahead and subscribe and let's talk about it. So I get a lot of questions specifically about kind of commercial photography, which is really my background, and how it works and how do you do this or whatever. So I thought I'd spend this video just kind of talking about what makes up a photographer's team. This is obviously going to vary. There will be some jobs that you will do where you will literally just be by yourself, right? And there'll be other jobs where you might have 20 people on your team. So this is kind of an overview. I'm probably not going to hit everything. If there's something I don't mention here and you guys have used, or people that you work with, certain team members or whatever, go ahead and put them in the comments. Also, just in general, how this aligns with your work. So let's go. So obviously, there's the photographer, right? Now, when you're doing a commercial project, let's say, for instance, you are hired to shoot, let's say, I'll go back to something like I've done. So I'm shooting an advertisement for a dress manufacturer. They make brides' dresses, let's say, or wedding dresses, or bridesmaids' dresses, or anything like that. It's wedding related, we'll say. So the shot is going to be a simple, they don't want a whole scene. Let's say we're going to say that it's a single model, in a setting, whatever it might be, in the dress, maybe looking in a mirror, blah, blah. So there's a few different ways to approach this, right? And we'll do another video talking about estimates and stuff, but let's assume that we're going to do it all in studio. We're going to create our sets, because that's often the way that we would do it, because believe it or not, it can be actually more expensive to use locations, even though locations have a lot of stuff there for you. If you're working on location, it tends to take just longer to get everything going. And all that stuff adds up because everybody on the team only works for so long, right? And then they get more money if they have to work extra. So if you go to a location, it takes you an hour to get everybody kind of in place and this and that. And there's not, the great thing about working in studios is that you can have, like, if this was a set, right? Of course, if it was a set, I'd build something nicer. If this was a set, there could be out there, a full wardrobe area, all kinds of stuff going on, space to move around. So there's advantages to working on a set. So let's just go that way. So that's our shot, right? So forgetting about the idea that, you're talking about art directors, possibly a creative director, although most likely not. Certainly clients are going to be there. That's all separate. I'm talking about the photographer's team. So who are you going to bring with you? Like, who are you kind of in charge of? And who's probably going to be part of your estimate. So when you're creating this proposal, that you'll know kind of what you need. So obviously there's you, right? Whatever. You're going to have any number of photo assistants and then possibly a digital tech. Now, essentially, let's start with the digital tech. The digital tech, who is sometimes, nowadays, a lot of times your first assistant might also do digital teching, but your digital tech is essentially the person that is going to run the computer. It is rare these days that you will shoot an advertising job digitally when you are not tethered. So the digital tech is the person that sits down at the computer and runs generally Capture One, but however you would tether. They're going to be in charge of the computers. They're going to be in charge of backing things up. You might also have a second person that does retouching, but that's pretty extreme. Unless they're like in a super rush or whatever, or the client just really wants it, there may be a second computer set up for that. So their responsibilities are going to be, sometimes digital techs rent computers with themselves, and sometimes even medium format backs. So they might bring all that equipment, but we'll assume not. The digital tech is going to be responsible for setting up the computer, making sure everything's up to date, making sure everything's tethered, keeping track of all the cables, keeping track of hard drives. They're going to number the files and make sure the file names are correct. They're going to make any backups that are necessary. That's what the digital tech does in a kind of an overview. While you're shooting, what they're going to do is they're going to watch the files as they come in and look for things like, the camera's acting up and it's going out of focus, or suddenly your exposure's weird, or the color's off, or a light's not firing. They can see through the computer because the actual image looks wrong. So their job, like you're over here shooting, they're literally staring at the images as they come in. That's the digital tech's job. If you have the type of client that needs to see everything as they're coming in, usually you'll set up a second monitor, kind of away from that, so that they're not leaning over the digital tech, because their job is super important. They're usually punched in and Capture One looking and make sure everything's sharp. They're making sure all the colors there, things aren't blowing out. It's probably second to the photographer as far as the set crew. It's one of the more kind of like on the moment jobs. They generally get paid more than the assistants, right? So they'll get a larger fee than the assistants, sometimes up to double what a photo assistant would get. Your photo assistants are, unlike let's say a PA, like it's hard to really put a photo assistant in a good light comparing them to film sets. I know a lot of times people do that, but a photo assistant is kind of a combination of a lot of things. They're kind of the PA, right? They're going to run around and get stuff. They're kind of, a grip or an electric. They're setting up stands and lights. They might even be the gaffer in the sense that you're the DP, right? They might actually kind of set and control the lights. How should I say it? They might even be in charge of, and they generally are, especially first assistant, the other assistants, and they will create the light that you're asking them to create based on how you describe it, right? A lot of times when you're on a commercial set, you're not going to be there physically setting up the lights because you got to deal with clients, you're talking to people, there's a lot of production going on. So usually you want your assistants to be lighting experts, lighting and grip experts. They should know how to set everything up. They're going to come in, and again, depending on the size of the production, you might have anywhere from one assistant to 3 or 4. I find that digital tech plus 2 assistants is pretty standard on most kind of medium-sized commercial gigs, but you might have more assistants depending on the situation, or less. And like an editorial job, like for a magazine, you might only have one assistant that does everything. They might be your digital tech and your assistant, and different budgets, right? So again, your digital tech is just dealing with the cameras. Your photo assistants are dealing with kind of everything else, but mostly lighting and grip, right? Just while we're talking about that, if we're building a set, right, the assistants might help or guide the set builders to where they need to go and this and that. But generally speaking, on a larger production where you have set builders, the assistants won't be building the set, right? They will be doing the lighting. Set builders will build a set. Usually what they'll do is, depending on your budget, if you're renting out a studio space and you need to get it done in one day kind of thing, a lot of times they'll come like in the morning with the set already kind of like mostly created, and then they kind of finish it there, and they put the seams together, and set builders are awesome. They build it, and then while it's drying and stuff, you're lighting everything, the paint in between. And then at the end of the day, they come and break it down. So you got set builders. Set builders are generally somebody who's going to come and go. Like they're not really like part of your team, but they're certainly an important part of the shoot. So you've got your set builders. Then you got to dress the set, right? So who decides what goes on the set? Well, obviously there's art director, there's collaboration, but there is a person that's called a set stylist or a prop stylist. Those people, sometimes it's 2 people, set stylist and prop stylist. They're going to do the thing. Like in our situation, that we wanted a mirror, right? Maybe it's in a hallway or a bedroom. Let's say the shot's in a bedroom. We're going to need a bed, which means that we're going to need covers for the bed. We're going to need, and these things are going to order and have delivered. And they're the ones that are going to put those in the set to make it look as good as possible. They're going to place all the items. They're going to decide. They're going to have lots of them. Like if there's a mirror involved, they might bring 5 mirrors, right? That's what a set/prop stylist does. Depending on your budget, you may have a different person do, like, let's say flowers, because if it's wedding related, there'll be flowers for sure, right? So you might have a flower. Your prop stylist might do the flowers, or you might have a separate stylist just for that. Or you might have somebody, literally they might bring prepared. I've done that before too, especially in kind of smaller shoots. You'll order the bouquets and stuff directly from a florist that'll bring them like ready. So they'll deliver them the same way that that they would deliver them to somebody getting married. The disadvantage to that is that if you need to tweak stuff on the set and you don't have a skilled person that knows how to handle the flowers, that can be a problem. So having a prop stylist that knows how to do that is going to be super useful. So again, you've got all the camera stuff between you and the digital tech. You've got your photo assistants doing your lighting and grip. Your set builders are putting the set up. You've got your prop/set stylist styling the set. And once that's done, the next kind of, and I'm putting not people in any kind of order of importance, but obviously you have a model, and like I was saying, you're going to have stylists for the model. So your stylist for the model is usually going to include a clothing stylist. So even if you're shooting for a dress manufacturer and they're bringing the dresses, In fact, even more so, you're going to want to have a clothing stylist. That clothing stylist is going to help dress the model, make sure everything fits right, and they're going to add accessories, right? Accessories are key. They're going to bring all different bracelets or rings or hairpins or whatever they're going to bring. Maybe not hairpins because that might be a hairstylist, but sometimes things overlap. They're going to bring accessories for the clothing. Shoes, gloves, stuff that isn't made by the manufacturer. And then they're going to deal with the stuff that's given to them by the manufacturer to make things fit properly with pinning and taping and doing whatever else has to happen. That's your clothing stylist. Sometimes if it's a full catalog, they'll usually have an assistant, for steaming and such. They're another responsibility of the clothing stylist is that they're going to keep track. Everybody keeps track of the shots as you're going through. There's always redundancy, right? So if you're doing a catalog, let's say, and you have 30 dresses to shoot, the clothing stylist has the list and they're making sure we shoot all 30. The digital tech is making sure we shoot all 30. There's redundancies there. In the case of a single shot, that's not really an issue. But they will have multiple outfits and, or multiple options usually available. That's really what your clothing stylist is going to do. Some manufacturers, like if it's a dress manufacturer, they might say, well, we don't need a clothing stylist because we just have the one dress and somebody from our company can do it. Again, that might be something you run into. But basically, clothing stylist. Then you're going to have hairstylist. Hairstylist does the hair. Sometimes even cuts and colors the hair depending on the job. Then you have a makeup stylist. The makeup artist or makeup stylist is going to put the makeup on your subject. Sometimes hair and makeup is combined, right? And again, in editorial type situations, you might find that you almost always do that. Other times it depends. Like if it's a fashion editorial and the makeup is minimal, makeup/hair is minimal, you'll have a clothing stylist and probably hair/makeup. If it's literally something that the hair is super important, you're going to definitely have a hairstylist. You almost never, like a lot of makeup artists can do basic hair, but hairstylists don't necessarily do basic makeup. So you've got, but again, obviously talk to the people that you hire. So, and of course, any one of them and all of them may or may not have an assistant. Okay? And then in addition to that, you're going to probably have catering, which again, like set building, is going to be a third party that's going to come in, do their deal, and leave, which the photo assistants will then help with. That's why I say photo assistants do a lot of different things. They're going to help coordinate, right? So when the food arrives, right, the photo assistants are the one that are going to tell them where to put it. They're the ones that are going to organize people coming and going. So photo assistants do a lot. If you want to know like how a photo shoot runs and you're trying to get into commercial photography, I 100% recommend photo assisting if you can, because you really dabble your fingers in so many different things when you're a photo assistant. So, okay, that's all that being said and done. Now we've got our basic set, right? We've got our people, thinking about any, peripheral people, I'm just going to run down the list one more time. And again, there may be other people. There may be carpenters. There may be other things that stay on set depending on what you're doing. Sometimes you're doing something very special. Sometimes if you're doing like food photography, you're going to have like a recipe, like a cook, basically, it's going to actually make the food, right? And you have food stylists instead of prop stylists. So again, we're going to, starting from the ground up, right? Empty space. We need our set built, right? So that's the set builders. They're going to come in and be directed by you and also the photo assistants. Then you've got your set/prop stylists that are going to dress the set. Now you have an environment. You want to put the person in the environment, that's the model. The model is going to be dressed by a clothing stylist, coiffed, I guess is the word, by a hairstylist, and made up by a makeup stylist. So those people are all going to make your model right, okay? In addition, your prop stylist is going to give them any additional things like flowers or whatever in the case of the thing we're talking about. Going into the set then, we've got our photo assistants who are going to basically light the set as you tell them to. Once that's set, or as you're going through that, you're going to have your digital tech that's going to end up running the camera part of it. And then again, you have extra people like any stylist assistants that you might have, and then people like catering and stuff that may come and go. Again, it depends on the size of your set. I've done jobs where we have a like actual catering person on site the whole time, like making snacks, making sure people have drinks, that kind of stuff. And then I've been in other shoots where there's literally me and a photo assistant and we're doing everything ourselves. So all different levels exist. Knowing kind of what's out there for you, though, I think is really important as you're building this stuff up. And I am going to get back to my series, we'll call it, on kind of getting into commercial photography. So let me know if you guys are interested in that, because I'm going to start talking about that. I know that many of you are either already shooting or don't really have a desire to shoot, but I think you find it interesting. So let me know if that's true. Do you want to hear more stuff about commercial photography and how it runs and the kind of the behind the scenes things? Let me know that. Anything else you guys want to see on the channel, let me know. Be sure to subscribe here if you have not already, and ring the bell to get the notifications. And I'll see you next time.